guys, welcome back to another video. In the last one we went over if-else statements in Python and how we could use them to error handle and check if something is true, and we used our fourth data type for that, which was Boolean. In this one we'll be working on lists, and lists is a very broad subject, so we'll just try to go through the most important things for now, and we may introduce more features in later videos. So what lists are, so let's just give an analogy. So when you go to a supermarket or a grocery store, you might take a shopping list with you, and the shopping list may contain products like milk, and then eggs, bread, and some other things like some chocolate, and I guess a pineapple. So this list contains five items, and this is item number 1, item number 2, item number 3, item number 4, and item number 5. It's important to remember the numbering of these items when we come to Python lists. So we can't write list as a variable name because it's already a Python name, so we can do shopping list equals. So how we make a list, we can't do it like milk and then eggs, and we should put that there. This will work, but it's not necessarily a list. So how we make it a list is, before we introduce circle brackets, now we're introducing square brackets, and this is how we make a list. So our first item will be milk, our second item will be eggs, our third item will be bread, and our fifth item will be pineapple. So now we've made a list, we've put all the items we want inside the list: milk, eggs, bread, chocolate, pineapple, and we gave that list a variable name called shopping list. And whenever we print shopping list, we can run this, reload, and we get the list. It's legitimately basically the exact values from here, and include the brackets and whatnot. So coming back to the idea of it being, this is item number 1, this is item number 2, this is item number 3, 4, 5. So let's say if we wanted to pick out a specific item from the list, well, we can pick it out with the item number, because it goes to 1 to the end. But with Python, and more specifically computers, Python starts with items with the number 0. So this won't be item number 1, this will be item number 0, this be item number 1, and this will be item number 2, item number 3, and item number 4. Although there's 5 items here, Python starts with counting from 0 rather than 1. So if we do print shopping list again, how we extract values from a list, other people may call this arrays, but in Python it's called a list. How we extract them is we add a square bracket after the variable name. Let me just space this out, but this won't be enough as is. We need to add the item number. So let's say we want to pull out bread, it won't be item number 3, it'll be item number 2, because it starts with 0. So 0, 1, 2, so we write 2 in here, we run this, and we get bread. Let's say we want to get milk, it's gonna be 0, we get milk. And let's say if you do a number outside of the array, so it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 isn't in the array, so we get an error. List index is out of range. So this is a good way to debug, knowing that there isn't 5 items in the array. You can also do a function called find out the length of a list. So we can make a new variable called length. We'll just do list length equals so this is a new function. So len is just short for length, and you have a bracket after it, and inside the bracket you put in a variable. The only two things that length takes in is, well, there's more than two things. It's a tuple, which we'll go over later, a array, a list I mean, and a string. There's other things you could take in, but for now we've put in um, a list, and we don't need to give a square bracket because we want to figure out the length of the list, not the length of a word. So we do list length, and this should return a number, like an integer, and 5. So we know it's 0, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items, but it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a good way to figure out the length of a list. We can also figure out the length of these individual words. So eggs, we know it has 4 letters in it. So we could do that, clear this, and this should return 4, which it did because it has 4 letters in it. And we can do something cool with we'll come over to that later. Just get rid of this. Here back. So we've now learned how we can make a list, and we can put values inside a list, and then we could give a list a variable name. We can figure out the length of a list by doing len shopping list. We run this, we get the length of a list, and we can also extract a specific value from a list. This should be eggs, and it's eggs. So what can a list take in? Well, a list can take in any of the date types, so a string, a integer, a float, and a boolean. So let's get rid of this list, and we make another list, example list, and we can do, let's just do 4 items inside this list, and each one being a specific data type. So we can do example as the string. For the integer we could do 12. For the float we could do 3.92, and for the boolean we could do true. So let's print example list. Sorry, cleared. So yeah, it outputs exactly what we wrote in here. So we could extract example, and we could get let's say 0, 1, 2, 3. So it's the boolean value, so it'll be true. Could we figure out the let's try to figure out the length of we'll figure out the length of example. So it's 7 characters, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is correct. But let's try to figure out the length of a number, and it comes back with an error because remember, length doesn't take in integers or floats. So let's try float, and len doesn't take in a float. Let's try boolean. Boolean may work. No, boolean doesn't work. So it only takes in string values and arrays and tuples. And come back to what tuples are. So yeah, we could do that. Let's go back to a grocery store shopping list array. Delete this. So what we could do is we can have a item equals input enter. Hold up. Best of doing this now. Let's just say we've just got 2 items in the shopping list, which is milk and eggs. So how could we add and remove items from the shopping list without just manually adding them, like tomato? So without just manually adding them, well, we could do shopping list dot. These are all the sort of methods we can do on the shopping list because we could do append. Append is to add any sort of item at the end of the list. Insert is to add an item given the index of the string of the list, because we name, so basically 0 1, this is index 0, this is index 1, so basically instead of calling it item 1 and item 2, item 0 and item 1, we call it index 0 and index 1, because we can have indexes of a string, because let's say we index milk, M is index 0, I is index 1, L is index 2, and K is index 3. So we do print, we do shopping list, and then we do append, and that's gonna add an index. Insert is gonna add in a specific index. Pop is basically gets rid of the last. If you give pop no value, it gets rid of the last item or the index, and if you give it a value, it gets rid of that specific index. So let's see what append does. Sort also basically just sorts the shopping list alphabetically, or if you do reverse sort, reverse alphabetically. Let's do append. Let's give append no value, and we'll do shopping list. Well, it gives us an error because we have to give append a value. If we don't, it says one argument should be given, 0 was given, so let's give it an argument. So let's give it tomato, and now we print shopping list and we get tomato. Let's print shopping list before we add it. Actually, it should be so. This is when we made the array, we print it, and this is when we call this a mutate. So when we mutate the array or change the array, we print it after that. So let's see what happens when we mutate. It should give 2 values. So this is the first print, and this is the second print. And why it's important to do this outside the print, because if we do this, put inside here, and then we print shopping list again, hold up. So let me just get rid of this because it's creating a bit of confusion. So since we did this inside of a print statement, it's returning none, because this doesn't return anything. This is doing a method where it needs to be outside of a print statement, so we need to do it outside of it, since we are mutating the list, and when we're mutating it, we don't want to mutate inside a print. So it's perfectly valid to do this command outside of a print. So yeah, we've added tomato. Let's say if we want to add another value, we can do pineapple again, append, and then we get milk, eggs, tomato, and pineapple. So I've got a quick task for you. We're gonna get rid of these two appends. We're gonna get rid of this. So with the list above, get a value from the users. So you know you will be using an input, and add it to the list. And then what I want you to do is from there check if the user's input is valid, because if you have a shopping list and if a user inputs a boolean value, integer or float, it won't be valid. And if it's not valid, I want you to print invalid syntax. So I want you to do that. I'll give you 5 seconds. Hopefully you figured out how to complete this task. I'll give you a step-by-step way of doing this. So the first instruction was to get a value from the user. So we'll do item equals. You can also name this val if you want, but variable names can be different whether you wrote so item equals input, enter item. Whether you wrote inside the string could be whether you want to write, and then we'll just do shopping list dot append. Obviously this doesn't have to be a string, this can be a variable holding a string. So let's just test this quickly. Actually, no, it won't work. Well, it will work, but we need to print shopping list. Now we do untitled, we do pineapple, and we get pineapple in the list. But what happens if we enter a invalid item? It's not invalid, but it's added a 3 as a string. So that's not really what we wanted to happen. So what we could do is we could use the if statement here, because if we do a try and accept, it doesn't create an error, it does so if I am, so what we have to do is we have to make the integer integer I am is greater than or equal to 0, or in I am is smaller than equal to smaller than equal to 0. We will want to print invalid input, else we want this to run. So what this doing is it's getting the input, and actually hold up. There's actually a better way to do this, because this will still create an error. Alright, so we'll try this. So if in item, so we get the item, the string item, and return it to integer. If that's bigger than 0, or if it's smaller than 0, we'll write input invalid input, and if it's not a number, because a number has to be bigger or smaller than number 0, we'll just append the item to the list. But why this will create a error if it's because if it's an actual string, you can't turn a string into an integer, so this will create a problem. So let's just do a number, so 4 invalid input, and it doesn't add the item to the list, but we do pineapple, we get a error. So what we can do is we'll comment this for now so we can see what we did. We'll do try I in item we could actually just do try accept, and then we'll do shopping list start. See if this works. We'll just delete this, save it, close that, close this, clear, run, and enter item. So we'll do 4 again, invalid input milk eggs, and then we'll do pineapple, and then it gets added. So this is bringing in some of the older concept, but we have to make sure this isn't creating any sort of error. So if you got this right, well done. If you haven't, don't worry. This was a difficult task to do, so it's alright. So we figured out how we could add items to the list in the end of the list. We need to now see how we could add an item in a specific area of the list. So as I mentioned before, we do shopping list or insert. So you're inserting, so it gives us a hint here. So first value we give it is the index, and the second is object. So if we give it an index of 0, the pineapple will be the first thing in the list. If we give it index of 1, it'll be the second thing, and if we give it index of 2, it'll be the third thing. So let's do print shopping list, and it's the third thing. So what if we do 0, it's first, and if we do 1, it'll be the second thing. So that's basically insert. I'm just going to go over that briefly because it's fairly easy to understand. There's one thing I should have mentioned. Let's make this list a bit bigger. So we add tomato. Did I spell tomato like that? Yes, I did. Before I think I spelled it like that. Tomato, and then we do bread, and we'll just do pineapple. So before we did shopping list 0, this will get the first item from the list of milk. But when we wanted the last time we had to count manually 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we can see pineapple will be the fourth item listed, the last one. But there's an easier way of getting the last item of the list without having to count manually, and that will be just write -1, and it'll basically -1 will check backwards from 1, so it'll show pineapple. You can also do -2 to get the second to last, and this will be bread. And yeah, you could also get multiple values. So how we can do this, so let's say if we wanted the first 3 items from the list, we could do 0 to 4. So clear. So what's this doing is starting from the 0 value, and it's going to the fourth value, but it doesn't return the fourth value. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, that should be 3. So start from the first value, and it's 0, 1, 2, 3. So this will return the first 3 items from the list. So start from 0, this here, and it goes to 1, goes to 2, and then it goes to 3, and we told it to stop at 3, but we didn't want to. So Python doesn't return the third value, like the third index, if that makes sense. So we run this and we get the first 3 items. Let's say if you want all the items apart from the last one, we run this, and actually it should be number 1. So we run this and it gives us all the items apart from the last one. You can play around with this. You can also play around with so let's just say item2 is shopping list, and then we get the second item, which will be index 1. So we do item2. So what we can do with this is we can also do we can also get specific letters from this. So you can get the third letter of eggs, which is S, with 0, 1, 2, 3. If you do 4, it'll give us out of range, and if we do -1, it'll give us S. We can also get multiple, so we can do 0 to -1, which is egg, and we could do 2 to -1, which is G. We start from 2, 0, 1, 2, and we go to -1, but we don't include -1. But there is some ways you can do it. So if we do 0 colon nothing, it'll basically give us all the string, and if we do nothing colon, let's say 2, it'll give us from the start of the string to 2. Alright, so we figured out how we could get specific specific letters from a word. This is called splicing or slicing. I'm pretty sure it's called slicing. So we slice a specific chunk of the string, and we can slice a specific item from a items from a list. So what we could do now, the next thing to go over is pop. What is the next thing to go over? So we went over append insert. We know how to get out a specific index of a list. We know how to slice a specific list. We know how to slice a specific string. So pop is the next thing to go over. So let's do shopping list dot pop. We don't necessarily need to add any values inside the brackets. We can just do pop, and then we do print the shopping list. If we don't add any values inside the parentheses, it means it'll just pop the last item, and it does just that. Let's see, if you want to pop eggs, we can do pop eggs, and then it gets rid of eggs. Let's say if you want to pop pretty sure you could do this. Let me just check. No, you can't do that. So if you want to pop multiple things, you will have to do in a separate line. So if you want to pop eggs and what would you else? If you pop pineapple, I think. So if you want to pop eggs and pineapple, you have to do specific multiple lines. So yeah, that's just popping a item from the list, and I'm pretty sure that was the last few methods we can do. We can also do sort. So we've done we'll go over indexing. We've done pop, we've done append, and we've done insert. I'm not sure what yet inserts here. So let's do sort, and we just do clear. Actually, it's already cleared. We actually need to put this outside of the print, and then shopping list, and then you can see it sort the list alphabetically. So if we write reverse in here, reverse equals true, and then hold up, it might be for different. Yes, not for that one. Clear. So yeah, it's been uh, so it's been sorted right, and then there's one really important method in Python, and it's called index. And what we can do with this method is give a value and then a start and a stop. So let's say we want to look for the we want inside of a list, we want to look for the value item eggs. So we run this, and then it gives us 1, so it's 0 1. Let's say if you want to look for the item tomato is in value 2. But if there isn't any items in the list of chocolate, it'll say hold up. So basically it'll just say chocolate is not on the list, so it'll throw an error if you write anything here and it's not in the list. So let's say we do eggs, and if you had 2 eggs, so for some reason you had 2 eggs in your list, so basically what it's just giving us an index of 1, because 0 1, but it doesn't give you this index. So 0 1 2 3 4, it doesn't give you this index, because what Python does, it looks at this list start to end, and as soon as it sees the value egg, the program stops and it gives you that index. So let's say if we give it a start value now, so we give it a start value of index 1. So what we want to do is, what we're telling Python is, instead of starting from the start from index 1. I think we have to do index 2 actually, and then it gives us so it's, instead of starting at x, it's starting at 0 1 2. It starts at here, it checks this value. If it's not x, it checks the next one. If it's not x, it checks the next one after that, and if it is x, then we basically get that value, which is 4. So index is really helpful to filter out a list with a input. So we can do an input saying we want the position of a item in the list. So let's see if there's any more. So we run over append, extend we won't go over, insert, sort, pop. Copy is really important. Reverse is pretty helpful too. There's a lot of these underscores very advanced. You don't really need to know these dunder methods. So let's look at tuples. So let's just chop this down a bit. So let's make a shopping list 2, and then instead of using square brackets, we use circle brackets. So we do milk and eggs. We'll print shopping list that and print shopping list, shopping list 2. We'll run this and they print out virtually the same thing. So if you try to get the first value of each thing, you can get that. Get the last value. We could just write written one, but it's fine. We can do that. But the difference between a tuple and a list is that with the list you can mutate it. So with the list you could do dot append, and then you could do tomato. But with a tuple you can't append it, so you can't do dot append which is a raisin. We need tomato again actually, and then we do print shopping list, run this, and it'll give us a error saying tuple has no attribute append, because tuple is only used when you don't really want to mutate the list and you want to keep it how it is. So what we can do with the tuple is read it. So we can read it by just printing it out or getting a specific index, or we can find the length of it. So we'll do len. Let's find the length of it, we should get rid of this. So we get the length of it, and we can also think count basically is the same thing. Shopping list 2 dot count. It should be a bracket after this. We'll just do. Oh, so I know what count does. So basically, inside bracket list, it counts how many times this value is inside it. So if we did milk twice, it tells us there's 2 types of milk. So yeah, that's basically what count does. And then we have index, which we went over. We can look for the value milk and it'll give us the index. So index of milk is 0. So that's basically it. That's the basics of lists and tuple. This we've mentioned a lot of advanced things in here. I highly encourage you to work around with these concepts and play around with them, because they are really powerful and useful in Python. We use them every time, and they come in handy to store a lot of values and to categorize a lot of values. So I highly encourage you to play around with them by your own. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe and like, because it'll help me out. And if you've got any questions, make sure to comment below and I'll try to reply to them. So watch out for the next video.